Bangerz and Mash at the movies, and I'm feeling like going hardcore. Ugh.
Hello, Henry. Do you remember how you got here?
Alright, this week we're reviewing the 2016 film Hardcore Henry. It was directed by Ilya Naishuller. Hope I'm saying your name right, bro. Starring Sharlto Copley. He was in District 9. He was also in the A-Team as H.M. Murdoch. There's Danila Kozlovsky, Haley Bennett, and Tim Roth, the guy that plays Ringo in Pulp Fiction. Might have seen it. He also plays Oswaldo in the new Hateful Eight movie.
Squeeze? You and I were, and still are, husband and wife. I love you, Henry.
So the game starts out with a kid being bullied.
Movie, not game, but for all the reasons, it is like a game.
He wakes up on an airship in a tank of water missing limbs. There is a woman, her name is Estelle. She's played by Haley Bennett. She's replacing his limbs and making them all cybernetic. Henry can't remember or speak, and that kind of goes for the entire movie. He doesn't say a word. Estelle tells Henry she's his wife, and then that he's been in some horrible accident. Henry is supposed to undergo more tests when the villain Akin raids the airship.
Yeah, basically this Akon dude is some weird telekinetic guy. He kills all of that Estelle chick's scientists. So it ends up in like some big battle, and eventually they flee in an escape pod from the airship, where they land in Moscow only to be attacked by Akon's henchmen. I think it's Akon or Akan. Hopefully we're saying it right. Estelle ends up getting captured. Henry's saved by some strange dude named Jimmy. He's played by Sharlto Copley, probably the best character in this movie. Jimmy informs Henry that the system's energy is draining and that he's going to die soon because of it. He promises him that he can fix him, but then he's killed. As he escapes the battle onto a bus, he's confronted by Jimmy yet again, only this time in a different disguise. He teaches him that one of Akan's men has a pump in his heart that will help him charge his systems. So Jimmy is then
Killed again.
Yeah, I think you could pretty much imagine that one.
Technology.
How would you like the new you?
The chute! Pull the chute! Hold on, Henry!
Alright, so yeah, as we were saying, though, Jimmy's killed again. The movie keeps taking twists and turns like this throughout, and it's a constant non-stop battle sequence. So, yeah, Akon is the enemy, Estelle is kidnapped, many sadistic violent scenes later, we have Hardcore Henry.
So basically the movie is filmed with a GoPro cam, and it's kind of like weird, and a weird mask on someone's head.
Just like sat on her face.
Apparently over 10 people played the character Henry. You don't see any of them, but each one are a stuntman, and they're doing, you know, hardcore shit.
Yeah.
The movie plays out in first person. It is unique, like Doom.
Yeah. One thing we both had to mention on that, though, is because it is in first person does not mean that anytime you reply to a question you can just pan the camera up and down as yes and left and right as no. That's not really that realistic, and you would use your hands a lot more, you know, if you had no voice. So that was a little problem with that first person.
It's going on the Oculus Rift hype and trying to get in there with the VR crowd. It has a bit of a Blair Witch problem of like a shaky camera. Makes it really hard to tell what's going on, and some quick clips. It feels like you're watching a video game, but that's kind of where my problem is, because it wasn't good.
It's a movie!
It wasn't
not a video game!
It wasn't that good. You know, constantly with the gun.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I mean, like, the whole, like, up, down for, like, yes and no, like, and then, like, the gun always, like, it's like, you're not gonna always be walking there with your gun pointed up, you know? I mean, I get it, at times you'll have your gun trained, but I don't know, like, that's where it got a little bad and tedious. Really, what did you think of Hardcore Henry?
So, my pros were, there was one funny, subtle scene where he tries to ride a horse after doing all these other things,
Yeah,
and then he just kind of gets bucked off. any scenes with Jimmy were a good scene.
Yeah.
The cons were, by the end, I was bored of the ultra-violence, and I think the audience becomes really desensitized by the gore and the weapons and just everything going on.
Yeah.
I gave it about a 3. I gave it a 3 out of 10 at first, but then when I realized that Sharlto Copley was actually the Jimmy character,
yeah.
I actually raised it to a 4 out of 5, but that's the only reason. Like, what were your...
Just 'cause the 18, bro.
Is your speech module installed? But at least we know you're not deaf.
So yeah, I mean, some pros to it. It's a new idea with the first-person camera. It's full of action. We did see this first-person thing in a movie like Doom with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Which didn't do
briefly.
well either.
Yeah, they did it briefly, and it wasn't well done. I would say this was better done than that. But yeah, it was full of action, humor at times. It feels like watching a character like, say, Nathan Drake from Uncharted playing in a movie. You know, that guy that can be shot, beat up, blown up, fall out of, and off of, whatever, and still live. You know, it didn't drag on, this movie. It was a perfect length for like the type of movie it was. There was no long, boring plot building scenes. Really though, the cons was the first person is a little off-putting. I mean, it's still too hard to get used to. Once you do get used to it though, the movie is like okay. The characters are dull because you never really get attached to a character, or except for Jimmy, or even the main character in that case, because you don't see the main character, so...
Or hear anything.
Yeah, it's just kind of the writing was, I guess, a little bad in that. No character development, really. I still do give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't the worst hour and a half of my life. I found it to be kind of a fun little movie, passes some time. I do advise checking it out. It's getting a lot of hate, I think, for no real reason. Like, it is fun. I wouldn't see myself going back and watching it again, but you should definitely check it out.
Good news is that you're going to live a while. The bad news is there's an army standing between you and your wife. So let's go get her.
I don't think Rotten Tomatoes is going to save this one.
Probably not.
Stay tuned to more Bangerz and Mash, and don't forget to subscribe and check out our other content.
Alright, you know the drill. Donate your Boba Fett merchandise. Follow us on Twitter. Check us out on Twitch. Keep on keeping on. And until next time, fuck off.
This is war, baby! Just